The alarm clock cuts through the silence, but you are already awake. You have been staring at the ceiling for an hour. The weight of the day ahead settles onto your chest before you even move. You look at your calendar, your to-do lists, the stack of commitments you have meticulously organized, and you feel nothing but a cold, hollow ache. You have done everything right. You have been the reliable friend who answers every call. You have been the efficient worker who never misses a deadline. You have been the listener who absorbs everyone else's chaos without a single complaint. By every metric, your life is functioning perfectly. Yet, beneath the surface, the engine is stalling. You are not just tired. You are running on empty, and the exhaustion has seeped into the marrow of your bones. Every movement feels like dragging lead through water. You reach for your phone, but your fingers stop midair. The desire to connect, to perform, has vanished. You are standing in the center of a life you built with precision, only to realize that the person living it is slowly fading away. Why does everything you have earned feel like a burden? What if the source of this depletion is not the world demanding too much, but you giving away too much? You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your own exhaustion. Every day, you engage in subtle, invisible rituals that dismantle your feminine energy piece by piece. You perform roles you never chose, believing that being good means being available, compliant, and constantly visible to everyone but yourself. This is not a failure of character. It is a habit of survival that has outlived its usefulness. You have been siphoning your own vitality to keep the peace, to maintain the image, and to avoid the discomfort of saying no. The exhaustion you feel is the sound of your internal boundaries collapsing. But here is the pivot point. These are not permanent flaws. You are standing at a threshold. You can continue to pour from an empty cup, or you can start to see exactly where your power is leaking and choose to close the valve. Most women spend their lives performing roles they never chose, believing that being good means being available, compliant, and constantly visible. You have been told that your value is measured by your output, what you do for your boss, your partner, or your friends. But this is a fundamental distortion of reality. Power, true feminine power, is not about what you do for others. It is not a reward you earn by being useful. It is not a trophy you receive for sacrificing your needs until you are hollow. True power is an internal state. It is a magnetic, unshakable core that you maintain within yourself, regardless of the demands placed upon you by the outside world. Think of it as a gravity well. When you are centered, you do not reach out to grasp for validation or control. You simply exist, and your presence commands space. You stop being a vessel that others fill with their expectations, and start being the source of your own vitality. This is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about reclaiming the energy you have been scattering like dust in the wind. You are moving from a life of external service to a life of internal sovereignty. We are not here to list your failures. We are here to dismantle the habits that have been siphoning your life force, so you can finally stand in the strength that has been waiting for you all along. Let us begin with the first mistake that keeps you tethered to the expectations of others. The trap of seeking constant validation. You post a photo, you share an idea, or you complete a task, and your first instinct is to scan the room or the screen for a nod of approval. You are looking for a sign that you have done enough, that you are enough. Psychologically, this is a tether. When you seek validation, you are handing the remote control of your emotional state to someone else. You are essentially saying that your worth is a variable that fluctuates based on external opinion. It is a dangerous game of chance. You are waiting for the world to confirm your existence before you allow yourself to feel secure. This habit turns your internal landscape into a marketplace where your confidence is traded for the fleeting opinions of strangers or peers. Every time you look for that nod, you are signaling that you do not trust your own judgment. You are giving away your sovereignty, piece by piece. Visualize a woman walking into a high-stakes meeting. She speaks, She presents her data, and then she stops. She pauses, eyes darting across the table, waiting for a smile or a nod from her boss before she continues. That pause is not a breath. It is a leak. In that split second, she has stopped being the architect of her own ideas. She is effectively asking for permission to continue, permission to speak, and ultimately, permission to exist. This is the moment your power drains into the floorboards. You are not waiting for clarity. You are waiting for an external entity. Think of how many times you have done this today. You finish a sentence and look for a reaction. You offer an opinion and soften it. This is not professional courtesy. This is a habit of self-diminishment. Every time you pause to check the temperature of the room, but power does not ask. Power simply is. When you stop looking for that signal, you stop the leak. To shift this, you must move from seeking approval to seeking alignment. Approval is a search for an audience. Alignment is a search for your own center. When you stop scanning the room for a reaction, you create a vacuum that only your own conviction can fill. Ask yourself this one question. Does this feel true to me? If the answer is yes, the external noise becomes irrelevant. The opinion of the room, the critique of a peer, the silence of a boss, they all lose their weight. They become background static that no longer dictates your rhythm. Alignment is the practice of checking in with your internal compass before you act, rather than checking in with the world after you have already committed. It is the difference between performing a role and living your life. When you operate from this place, you are no longer a variable that shifts with the wind. You become a fixed point. The world will continue to offer its noise, its demands, and its judgments, but they will bounce off the unshakable core you have reclaimed. You stop asking if they like what you said, because you know why you said it. You stop waiting for the nod, because your own internal confirmation is the only one that carries authority. This is not about being stubborn. It is about being anchored. When you are aligned, you are not just present, you are immovable. Now that you are anchoring yourself in alignment, you will notice the next trap that siphons your energy. It is the compulsion to over-explain. We live in a culture that demands a justification for every boundary we set. You say no to an invitation, a project, or a request, and your immediate instinct is to spend 5 minutes crafting a story to make that refusal acceptable. You add details. You offer reasons. You provide context. You do this because you are afraid that a simple no will be perceived as harsh or incomplete. But stop and look at what you are actually doing. Every time you offer an elaborate explanation for a decision, you are signaling that your needs require a defense. You are treating your own life as a courtroom where you must prove your innocence before you are allowed to act. A woman in her power does not need to build a case for her own existence. When you garnish your boundaries with excuses, you are essentially asking for permission to prioritize yourself. You are telling the world that your time is only valuable if it is backed by a reason they find sufficient. This is a subtle, constant leak of your authority. You are not just communicating a choice. You are apologizing for it. Recognize this pattern for what it is, a survival habit that has outlived its purpose. To break this cycle, you must practice the art of the simple, firm no. It is a radical act of self-possession. When you are asked for your time or your energy, offer your refusal without the garnish of excuses. Do not provide a reason. Do not offer an alternative. Do not soften the blow with a story. Just say no. The moment you stop explaining, you will feel a sudden, sharp silence. That silence is where your power lives. Most people are conditioned to rush into that gap, to fill the air with justifications. Do not fill it. Let the silence stand. By refusing to defend your choice, you are signaling that your decision is final. This is the moment your dignity is reclaimed. You will find that your energy remains intact, your focus stays sharp, and your boundaries become a clear, unbreachable architecture. A simple no is an act of clarity. You are a woman who governs her own life with absolute, quiet authority. Now that you have reclaimed your time through the power of a firm boundary, you must address the third mistake, the habitual silencing of your own intuition. We have all felt it. It is that sudden, sharp drop in the stomach when you walk into a room, or the quiet, persistent whisper telling you to step away from a situation that looks perfect on paper. It is a physical reaction that precedes any conscious thought. Yet, how often do you override this sensation? You look at the facts, you weigh the logic, and you convince yourself that your gut is simply being irrational. You treat your own internal warning system as a nuisance rather than a guide. By constantly choosing logic over this instinct, you are actively betraying your most reliable internal compass. Think of the last time you felt that pull to leave a conversation or decline an opportunity, only to talk yourself into staying. You ignored the signal, and you paid the price in exhaustion and resentment. This is not a minor oversight. It is a fundamental disconnection from your own truth. To reclaim your power, you must first demystify what you call intuition. It is not magic, and it is not a vague feeling. It is your subconscious mind operating at a velocity your conscious thoughts simply cannot match. Think of it as a master pattern recognizer. It scans every micro-expression, every shift in tone, and every environmental cue in a fraction of a second. It processes years of lived experience to flag a threat or an opportunity long before your brain has finished its first sentence of rationalization. When you pause to analyze, to weigh the pros and cons, or to ask for a second opinion, you are effectively slowing down your own survival mechanism. This is why you feel that sharp drop in your stomach. It is your system signaling that the data has been processed and the conclusion is clear. Stop trying to translate that signal into a logical argument. You do not need to justify why you feel a situation is wrong. The fact that you feel it is the justification. Trust the speed of your own awareness. Stop debating with your gut and start acting on the information it provides. Your intuition is the most sophisticated tool you possess. The fourth mistake is the total absence of boundaries. Many women fall into the trap of believing that being feminine means being soft, and they confuse this softness with permeability. They think that to be open is to be receptive, but there is a critical difference between an open heart and an open door. If you do not have a fence, you do not have a garden, you have a public field. A sanctuary requires a perimeter. When you allow others to interrupt your peace, dictate your schedule, or drain your emotional bandwidth, you are signaling to the world that your energy is a public utility. You are essentially leaving your gates unlatched, inviting anyone to walk through and take what they please. This is not kindness. It is a lack of self-preservation. You cannot protect your vitality if you do not define where you end and others begin. A boundary is not a wall built to keep the world out. It is a structure built to keep your own essence in. Without this architecture, you are constantly reacting to the needs of others, leaving your own desires to wither in the dust. You must stop viewing your availability as a virtue. It's time to recognize that your time and your focus are finite resources. If you do not guard them, no one else will. A woman in her power understands that her space is sacred, and she treats it accordingly. Building the architecture of self-respect is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice of reinforcement. When you feel the urge to say yes to a request that drains your focus, stop. That is the moment of construction. You are choosing between your own peace and someone else's convenience. Every time you hold your ground, you are laying another stone in your perimeter. You must treat your emotional bandwidth as a restricted zone. If a friend calls to vent for the third time this week, you do not have to be the shock absorber. You can say, "I cannot hold space for this right now," and end the conversation. This is not cold, it is necessary. By withholding your energy, you are not failing them. You are teaching them that your time has value. You are shifting from a state of constant availability to a state of intentional presence. When you stop being a public utility, you suddenly find that you have the internal resources to actually enjoy your own life. You are the architect of your own sanctuary. Start today. Identify one area where you have been overextended and close the gate. Your energy is the foundation of your power. Guard it with everything you have. If you are recognizing yourself in these patterns, pause. Take a breath. It is natural to feel a sudden, sharp discomfort when you see your own habits laid bare. You might feel a sense of regret for the time you have spent pouring your energy into empty vessels. Do not let that regret harden into shame. Shame is a dead end. Awareness is a doorway. The fact that you can see these patterns now means they no longer have total control over you. You are no longer acting on an autopilot. You are witnessing your own life from a new vantage point. This realization is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is the first, necessary tremor of a system waking up. You are shedding the skin of who you were told to be. Stay with that feeling of recognition. It is the compass pointing you toward the version of yourself you have been waiting to meet. You have spent far too long navigating these shifts in total silence, believing that your evolution must be a solitary burden. It is easy to feel like you are the only one struggling to maintain your core while the world demands your constant compliance. But you are not alone in this. There is a quiet, growing movement of women who are choosing to dismantle these same survival habits. We are building a space here for those who are ready to move beyond the surface level and understand themselves with absolute clarity. This is not just a channel. It is a collective of individuals who have decided that their energy is no longer for sale. When you subscribe, you are not just clicking a button. You are signaling that you are ready to be part of a standard of living that prioritizes self-respect. If this perspective is helping you see your own life more clearly, leave a like. It helps others who are currently lost in the same cycle find this space. Stay here. We are just beginning to uncover what is possible when you stop giving your power away. Now we must address the fifth mistake, one that leaves you hollowed out by the end of every week: the compulsion to overgive emotionally. You have become the permanent therapist for your friends, the tireless fixer for your family, and the emotional shock absorber for everyone you encounter. You listen for hours. You solve problems that are not yours to carry, and you absorb the anxieties of others until your own mind is clouded. You are pouring from a cup that has no bottom. You believe this is generosity, but examine the drive behind it. It is not kindness. It is a fear of being unneeded. You have convinced yourself that your value is tied to your utility, that if you stop fixing, you will stop mattering. This is a dangerous lie. By constantly inserting yourself into the emotional crises of others, you are not helping them grow. You are merely ensuring that you remain essential to their stability. You are exhausting your own reserves to maintain a role that keeps you small. Stop the flow. The depletion you feel is the direct result of giving away the energy you need to sustain your own existence. When you stop being the emotional shock absorber for everyone in your orbit, you create a vacuum. Most women fear this space, assuming it signals a collapse of their relationships. It does not. It signals a shift in the architecture of your connections. When you cease the constant fixing, you are finally allowing the people in your life to show up for themselves. You are no longer the crutch that prevents them from walking. By withdrawing your energy, you force them to confront their own problems, to find their own solutions, and to build their own internal strength. This is not abandonment. It is the ultimate act of respect. You are treating them as capable adults rather than dependents. Watch what happens when you hold your ground. At first, there will be resistance. They will look for the old, reliable version of you who absorbs their chaos. When they find only a calm, firm presence, they will be forced to look inward. You will see them stumble, then adjust, and eventually, they will find their own footing. This is where the true healing begins. You stop being a martyr for their comfort and start being a mirror for their potential. You regain your own vitality. We move now to the sixth mistake, a pattern that shatters your composure in an instant, the compulsion to react impulsively. When someone triggers you, when a sharp word is aimed at your boundaries, or when a situation does not go as planned, your immediate instinct is to lash out or defend. You fire back. You sharpen your tone. You engage in the conflict because it feels like protection. But this is a fundamental error. This is a reactive state, and it is the exact opposite of feminine power. When you lash out, you are not in control. You are being controlled. You have allowed their behavior to dictate your internal climate. Think of the last time you felt that surge of heat in your chest after an insult. You spoke before you thought. You defended yourself against a point that did not deserve your energy. In that moment, you were a puppet on a string. Every time you react without a pause, you are signaling that your peace is fragile and easily dismantled. True power is not found in the speed of your counterattack. It is found in the ability to hold space for your emotions. When you react, you lose the high ground. Stop feeding the fire with your own urgency. To reclaim your center, you must master the art of the pause. When the urge to react hits you, do not act. Do not speak. Do not defend. Simply breathe. Feel the tension rise in your shoulders, the heat behind your eyes, and the tightness in your throat. Acknowledge these sensations as they arrive, but do not grant them permission to drive your actions. Imagine your emotions as a wave crashing against a cliff. The wave is powerful, loud, and inevitable, but the cliff remains unmoved. You are the cliff. You are the stillness that allows the turbulence to pass through you without leaving a mark. Most people are terrified of this silence. They mistake the pause for weakness, fearing that if they do not strike back, they will be forgotten. This is a survival instinct, not a strategy. When you hold space for your own emotions, you are doing something radical. Usually, you will find that the fire has burned itself out, leaving you with the quiet, unshakable strength of a woman who owns her own peace. Finally, we arrive at the seventh mistake, the slow, quiet erosion of self-focus. You know the exact details of everyone else's life. You know your friend's career struggles, your partner's unspoken frustrations, and your family's complex needs. You have become an expert on the people around you, mapping their moods and anticipating their requirements with precision. But in this process of constant outward observation, you have forgotten the texture of your own desires. Think about your day. How much of your mental bandwidth is occupied by the logistics of others? You are tracking their progress, managing their expectations. Meanwhile, your own dreams have been relegated to the back of your mind, gathering dust like forgotten objects in an attic. You have become a spectator in your own story, watching your life unfold through the lens of other people's needs. It is in that silence that your true desires are waiting to be reclaimed. Look at the life you are living right now. Are you the protagonist, or are you merely a witness to your own existence? There is a sharp, sudden pang that comes with this realization. It is the feeling of waking up in a theater, only to find that the film has been playing for years, and you have been sitting in the dark, watching a stranger walk through your days. You have been cheering for others, worrying about their plot twists, and mourning their losses, all while your own script remains unwritten. This is the spectator syndrome. It is a slow, creeping numbness that settles into your bones when you prioritize the narrative of everyone else. That regret is not a sign of failure. It is a signal. It is the sound of your own soul demanding to be brought back into the light. You are not meant to be a background detail. You are the architect, the lead, and the heartbeat of your world. Lean into that. Let it burn away the habit of invisibility. You are done waiting for the scene to change. The time for watching is over. Now that you have stepped away from the sidelines, you must face the most difficult work of all. You must answer for yourself. When the house is quiet, when the phone is face down, and when there is no one around to witness your choices, who are you? What do you love when no one is watching? Strip away the roles. Strip away the expectations of your family, your workplace, and your social circle. What remains? Perhaps it is the way you move when you are alone, or the specific topics that make your mind race with genuine curiosity, or the quiet hobbies you abandoned because they did not serve a productive purpose. These are the fragments of your true self. To reclaim your power, you must return to the center of your own universe. You have spent so long orbiting the needs of others that you have forgotten how to hold your own gravity. Imagine your life as a circle. For years, you have been the perimeter, stretched thin to encompass everyone else. Now, pull that energy inward. Bring it back to the core. You are the center of your own story. Start there. Most people walk through life in a trance. They repeat these patterns of overgiving, seeking validation, and suppressing their intuition for decades. They wake up, perform their assigned roles, and go to sleep, never once asking if the script they are following belongs to them or to someone else. They are comfortable in the repetition. They are safe in the predictability of their own exhaustion. But you are not most people. The fact that you are here, dissecting these habits and feeling the friction of change, proves that the trance has broken. You are no longer drifting. You are choosing to see. This is not a passive realization. It is an active, deliberate rebellion against the version of yourself that once accepted invisibility as a virtue. When you look at your life now, you see the patterns for what they are. Survival mechanisms that have outlived their purpose. You see the cracks in the foundation you built for others. Most importantly, you see the possibility of something else. You are standing at the threshold of a different reality. The cycle that kept you small, compliant, and drained is losing its grip because you have stopped feeding it your energy. You are the architect of your own awakening. Awareness is the first step, but it is not the destination. Knowing the patterns is only half the battle. The true test lies in how you navigate the days that follow. You will feel the pull of old habits. You will feel the sudden, sharp urge to apologize for your boundaries or to seek approval for your choices. That is the moment where you must stand firm. You are building a new internal architecture, and that requires constant maintenance. This channel is designed to be the space where you return to reinforce that resolve. If you are truly ready to commit to this journey of awareness, subscribe. By doing so, you are not just following a creator. You are marking a line in the sand. You are telling yourself that there is no going back. We are building something meaningful here. A collective of women who refuse to trade their vitality for comfort. If these insights have helped, leave a like. Stay present, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Your power was never truly lost. It was simply waiting for you to bring it home to yourself. Now, stand still and let the reality of these 7 patterns settle in your bones. Think about the years spent seeking validation, the hours wasted over explaining your existence, and the quiet betrayal of ignoring your own instincts. When you stack these habits together, you see the true cost of your compliance. It is not just a series of minor errors. It is a systematic dismantling of your own vitality. Every time you ignored a boundary, you left a door open for the world to take more. Every time you reacted instead of choosing your response, you surrendered your internal command. The exhaustion you feel is the bill coming due. It is the weight of a life lived in service to everyone but yourself. You have been pouring your essence into a vessel that was never meant to hold it, and now the vessel is empty. This is the moment of reckoning. The realization is not meant to break you, but to wake you. It is a heavy, sobering look at the architecture of your own depletion. You see the gaps where your power used to be. You are standing on the edge of the old world. Behind you lies the comfort of the cycle, the familiar exhaustion, the predictable patterns, the safety of being needed by everyone but yourself. It is a heavy, suffocating blanket, but it is known. Ahead of you is the void. It is the silence of a life where you are the primary occupant, where your energy is yours to command, and where your boundaries are absolute. The tension in your chest right now is not anxiety. It is the friction of a soul trying to break its own cage. You feel the pull to turn back, to apologize for this moment of clarity, to retreat into the roles that kept you small and safe. Do not turn. The cost of staying is no longer affordable. You have seen the architecture of your own depletion. and you can no longer unsee it. Every breath you take in this moment is a choice. You can remain the spectator, watching your life happen to you, or you can step into the center. The cliff edge is not a place of danger. It is the only place where you can finally see the horizon. You are finally learning how to stand on your own ground. The choice is yours. Make the choice now. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Now, cut the tether. Stop scanning the room for permission. Stop building cases for your boundaries. Silence the noise of justification. In that exact second, something shifts. You expect to feel lighter, but instead, you feel a surge. It hits the base of your spine and travels up, hot and electric. The draining stops. The leak seals. For years, you believed you were running on empty, that your core had been eroded. But look closer. The vessel did not break. As you close it, the pressure builds instantly. The magnetic field you thought was lost snaps back into place with violent clarity. This is not a recovery process. There is nothing to rebuild because nothing was ever destroyed. Your power was not stolen. It was surrendered. The explosion is internal. The cage is open. The power is yours. Feel the gravity change. The weight that once pressed down on your shoulders has shifted. It is no longer a burden you carry. It is the ground beneath your feet. Stand tall. Feel the alignment from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. This is not a temporary state of relief. This is your new baseline. You are no longer a vessel for others to fill or drain. You are a closed system, a magnetic core that dictates its own terms. Test it. Imagine a demand coming toward you, a request for your time. Watch how it bounces off. You simply exist, and that is enough. The hollow exhaustion is gone, replaced by a dense, quiet heat. You are standing in the center of your own life, and for the first time, you are not moving for anyone. Breathe in the silence. It is not empty. It is full. This is the texture of your own life, restored to its rightful owner. You are no longer a spectator, no longer a performer, no longer a servant to the expectations of others. You are the architect of your own peace. Look around you. The world has not changed, but your position within it has. You move with a different weight now. Your steps are deliberate. Your presence is a command that requires no voice. When you walk, the air moves with you. When you speak, the space listens. This is the grace of a woman who has stopped fighting herself. You have reclaimed the energy you once scattered like dust in the wind. It is gathered here, behind your ribs, steady and deep. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to justify your existence. You simply are. The cycle is broken. The patterns that once siphoned your vitality have no grip on this new, magnetic core. You are standing in the center of your own story, and the pen is in your hand. This is not the end of a journey. It is the first day of your life. Keep this stillness. Protect this boundary. Carry this power into every room you enter. You are whole. You are aligned. You are home.